November 1942. The North Atlantic is a graveyard. In the past 12 months, German U-boats have sunk over 1,000 Allied ships. Tonight, somewhere between Newfoundland and the Hebrides, 14 U-boats are converging on an eastbound convoy of 43 merchant ships and 7 escorts loaded with fuel, food, and ammunition for Britain. The convoy commander does not know the U-boats are there. He will not know until the first torpedo hits. By dawn, 11 ships will be on the bottom of the Atlantic. Hundreds of merchant sailors will be dead. This is not a battle. This is the way the war is being lost. Admiral Karl Dönitz, commanding Kriegsmarine submarine forces from his command headquarters in occupied France, has spent 6 years building the most effective commerce destruction force in naval history. His U-boats hunt in coordinated packs of 8 to 20 boats, vectored onto convoys by radio direction finding and code breaking. They attack on the surface at night when their low profile is invisible to Allied lookouts. They dive and disappear before escort destroyers can locate them. In 1942, German submarines will sink over 6 million tons of Allied shipping. Britain is rationing bread. The American 8th Air Force is operating on rationed fuel because the tankers are not arriving. Winston Churchill will write later that the only thing that ever truly frightened him during the war was the U-boat peril. Now imagine one variable were different. 300 meters beneath that same convoy, moving at 6 knots in absolute silence, is something that should not exist for another 60 years. The USS Virginia, a nuclear-powered attack submarine from 2026, displacing 7,800 tons, carrying Mark 48 ADCAP torpedoes, and equipped with sonar systems that can map every ship and every U-boat across 100 kilometers of Black Ocean. The Virginia is a hunter-killer, designed for exactly one purpose: find enemy submarines, destroy them before they know they are being hunted. A modern nuclear submarine bears almost no resemblance to a 1942 U-boat. The comparison fails at every meaningful level: propulsion, depth, endurance, detection, weapons. The Virginia operates at depths exceeding 240 meters, where U-boats cannot reach. It runs on a reactor that needs no refueling for the operational life of the boat. It can stay submerged for months at a time. Its propulsion is so quiet that ocean ambient noise, the natural sound of waves, marine life, distant shipping, masks its presence completely. The sonar suite is where the unfairness becomes absolute. The AN/BQQ-10 system uses passive arrays running the length of the hull, listening for the acoustic signature of any vessel within 100 kilometers. A 1942 Type VII U-boat running on diesel engines on the surface generates a noise signature that the Virginia can detect from 60 kilometers away. The U-boat captain has no idea his boat is making any sound at all. Sound below water travels 4 times faster than in air, and the Type VII was never designed to be quiet. It was designed to be cheap, fast to build, and good enough to overwhelm Allied defenses through sheer numbers. The Mark 48 ADCAP torpedoes are wire-guided to their targets and switch to active homing in the terminal phase. Each carries a 295-kilogram high-explosive warhead capable of breaking a destroyer in half. Against a Type VII U-boat with a pressure hull of 22mm steel, a single Mark 48 detonation is total destruction. The torpedo cruises at over 50 knots. The Type VII's maximum submerged speed is 7.6 knots, and only for a few minutes before the batteries die. There is no evasion. There is no escape. By the time a U-boat captain hears the torpedo's active sonar pinging on his hull, he has approximately 90 seconds remaining as a living human being. But none of this matters if you cannot find the enemy first. Dönitz's wolf pack of 14 boats has spread across 200 kilometers of ocean, positioned in a long picket line called a rake. They are coordinating by radio, reporting their positions to the U-boat command headquarters in Lorient, France. The signals are encrypted with the 4-rotor Enigma machine, which the Allies will break back into within weeks. To Allied intelligence in November 1942, the Atlantic is a black hole. To the Virginia, every U-boat transmission is a beacon. The crew brings the boat up to periscope depth, deploys its communications mast, and listens. Modern signals intelligence equipment picks up every radio transmission in the area, triangulates the source, and adds it to the targeting picture. The crew does not need to decrypt the messages. They only need to know where the signals are coming from. The boat descends back to operating depth. Within 2 hours of arriving in the Convoy's operating area, the Virginia has located 13 of the 14 U-boats. The 14th boat is running silent on battery power, deep below the surface. It does not transmit. The Virginia finds it anyway, through passive sonar picking up the faint electrical signature of its battery-driven motors, and the slow rhythm of its propeller turning at minimum revolutions. What happens next is not combat, it is an execution. The Virginia engages U-509 first, a Type IX-C cruising at 60 meters of depth. The Mark 48 is launched from 22 kilometers away. The submarine never knows it is under attack until the torpedo's active sonar lights up its hull 20 seconds before impact. The detonation cracks the pressure hull amidships. 48 German submariners die before they can reach the conning tower. The acoustic signature of the kill, a sharp metallic crack followed by the rumble of crushing steel as the boat sinks beyond crush depth, is heard by every U-boat in the Wolf Pack and by every sonar operator on the convoy escorts. Nobody knows what made the sound. The Germans assume one of their own boats has struck a mine or had a torpedo malfunction. The convoy escorts assume the Germans have lost a boat to internal causes. The Virginia is already moving to the next target. By the end of the first night, 11 U-boats are on the bottom of the Atlantic. The convoy completes its passage to Liverpool with 0 losses. The next morning is when the real problem starts. Modern undersea warfare assumes engagements between near-peer competitors with comparable technology. Rules of engagement built across 80 years of Cold War and post-Cold War operations assume the enemy has detection capability, has warning, has the ability to surrender or to fight back. None of that applies here. The Virginia's crew is not fighting a war. They are conducting industrial killing of teenagers in metal tubes who have no idea they are being hunted. A Type VII U-boat crew is 44 men, average age 22. Many of them are conscripts. They sealed themselves into a steel cylinder 6 weeks ago, said goodbye to families they will never see again, and accepted that the Atlantic might kill them. The Atlantic was going to kill 75% of all U-boat crews who deployed during the war. They knew that going in, but what they accepted was the possibility of death by depth charge from a destroyer they had detected, or by aircraft they had spotted on the horizon, or by their own mechanical failure in deep water. They accepted dying in a war they could fight. What the Virginia delivers is not that. The Virginia delivers death from beyond any range a U-boat sailor knows exists, with no warning, no chance to fight back, no chance to surface and surrender, no chance to do anything at all except hear a sound they cannot identify in the final 20 seconds before their boat ceases to be a boat. The morality of this lands hard on the Virginia's crew. Submariners are not infantry. They do not see their kills. They do not fight at close range. But the sound of 44 men dying in a single torpedo detonation, heard through hydrophones in clean surgical detail, is something none of them trained for. After the 3rd kill, the conversation in the boat changes. After the 7th, the captain pulls his crew aside to remind them what is at stake. By the 11th, several crew members are showing signs that will later be diagnosed as acute combat stress. The international laws of war that will solidify after this conflict require offering surrender when surrender is possible. The Virginia is sinking submarines that cannot offer surrender because they cannot communicate, cannot detect their attacker, cannot do anything other than die. The legal frameworks that govern this kind of combat will not exist for another decade. The moral frameworks will not exist for 2. The Virginia is also not the only variable in this war. Karl Dönitz is one of the most adaptive submarine commanders in history. After 2 wolf packs are annihilated in the same operational area without any survivors and without any clear explanation, he does what any competent commander would do. He pulls his boats back. He shifts patrol routes south to the Azores Gap, west to the American coast, east to the Mediterranean. He suspends North Atlantic operations pending investigation. By March 1943, Dönitz has effectively conceded the central North Atlantic to whatever phantom is hunting his boats there. He does not understand what is happening. He understands enough to stop sending boats into a place where they disappear without leaving evidence of how. This is not victory in the conventional sense. The Virginia does not destroy the Kriegsmarine submarine force. It makes the North Atlantic so expensive that the Germans choose not to operate there. The U-boats that historically died trying to break the convoy routes in 1943 are instead deployed to other theaters, where they continue sinking Allied shipping. The Battle of the Atlantic does not end. It relocates.